I didn't know when I was growing up that it's some kind of cosmic law that some people will live a long life, a very productive life, and some people will live a very short life and a life where they never get to bear fruit. They never get to develop. They don't fulfill their purpose. That was a shock, a of trauma to me when I first encountered that at age 19. And during my 20s, I had friends, I had family members, I knew of other people with great potential who died very young. And I felt that it was uh, an inexplicable tragedy. It was a tragedy. And I felt a certain amount of grief just because the world had lost these people, these beautiful people who had so much potential. So here I am in my mid 80s, and I am thanking my lucky stars that I've been able to live this long because I feel that I needed a long life just to get around to doing everything I wanted to do, that I needed to do. And it's not over. And I could easily ask for another 10 or 15 years because I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I'm changing. One of the things that has become suddenly evident to me is that in a long life, you build up a kind of self image, and that self image is attached to your habits, to the place you live, to your possessions, to your expertise, your skills, to what you think you know. Um, and you become very attached to that identity. And it suddenly occurs to me it's not a real identity. It's something that is built up, it's a construct, and we get very attached to it. But when do you consider that you're a spirit unified with something that looks solid but really isn't, that is living on a temporal plane that comes and goes? It comes together from a lot of different elements and then scatters to the winds, and your spirit goes on. But without that identity, without the name, without the expertise, without the possessions, and that's who you really are. That is something that never occurred to me until fairly recently. And I think it has occurred to me simply because of my age and because I know that I'm going to need to let go of everything that I've built up in this lifetime. And it seems pretty obvious to me that we are probably not this one thing that was born in this one lifetime. There are probably many, many incarnations just to learn what we need to learn. And we need to learn that we are much larger than this one little identity, this one little being with a name and a history that started at a certain point in life. And um, I think that if you can live long enough, and if you can, in your right mind, come to the point where you're letting go of that identity, you're going to see everything completely differently. Everything is going to seem much more fresh, much more miraculous, much newer, just because you're not so damn sure of who you are. It's kind of a mystery how that works, but I think that what we really are is a series of processes of energies that are not necessarily integrated with each other, but they're all living inside of us, and they have a desire to come out into this world, and we try to pick and choose which ones we find uh, acceptable, and we're much larger than that. Is my point. So when we get ready to cycle off, I do think we need to have some reflections. We need to contemplate this identity we built up and ask ourselves how real it is and why we are attached to it. Why do we need it? It's something that maybe you can only do if you live a long time. It's not something you would want to do when you're 20 or 30, or maybe even when you're 40 or 50. I don't know, but it seems to me it's pretty essential to get to the bottom of what you really are. Something to think about.